It was 12:47 a.m. The office was quiet, just the hum of the ceiling fan and the soft blue light of my monitor painting the walls. I was finishing quarterly reports when my phone buzzed. A message from her. "I miss you inside of me." Attached, 3 photos. For a second, I didn't breathe. My first instinct wasn't shock, it was confusion. The light on the screen made her skin glow like porcelain. I stared at the name on top of the chat, Anna, my wife. My throat tightened. There was no preamble, no wrong person, no frantic call to undo the mistake. Just silence. The kind that only exists when guilt freezes someone's fingers. I set my phone down, felt the weight of the world shift on its axis, and simply stared at it. Then I picked it up again, read the caption once more, and whispered to the empty room, "Inside of who, Anna?" The cursor on my laptop blinked, steady, rhythmic, like a heartbeat. And then I stood up, opened my drawer, and pulled out the baseball bat I kept for security. Not because I planned to use it, but because it reminded me of control. When I called my neighbor, Mark, he answered half asleep. I told him flatly, "I think there's someone in my house." He didn't ask why. He just said, "I'm coming." By the time I grabbed my coat, the rage had already gone cold. Mark's truck headlights cut through the midnight fog as we drove in silence. The streets were empty, except for the occasional cat crossing our path. I kept thinking about the photos, not the bodies, the angles, the way her hand was positioned, like she was reaching for someone just out of frame, someone familiar. The phone buzzed again, a new message. "You were perfect tonight." No name, just words, sent from an unknown number. I didn't show Mark. I didn't need to. Every breath I took from that moment had to be measured, controlled. If I allowed emotion to slip through, I'd collapse. The front of the house was dark when we arrived. Her car was there, parked neatly as always, curtains closed, lights off. Mark whispered, "You sure about this?" I nodded. Because I wasn't looking for an explanation anymore. I was looking for the truth. When we entered through the side door, the faint hum of music floated through the air. A slow rhythm, low enough to feel rather than hear. I smelled perfume, hers, but mixed with something masculine, the kind of scent you notice only when it doesn't belong. I didn't barge in. I listened. Footsteps, laughter, quiet, breathless. I moved through the hall, each creak of the floorboards cutting into my composure. Mark stayed behind, waiting in the kitchen. I told him not to interfere unless I called. He didn't argue. Every step I took toward that bedroom door, I rehearsed what I'd say. Maybe I'd ask her who he was. Maybe I'd just look at her and let silence do the damage. I stopped before the door. Light slipped through the crack beneath it. Soft, golden, cruel. For a brief second I almost turned back, almost let ignorance keep me whole. Then I heard it, her voice, low, pleading, "Do it again." That was the moment something in me stopped hurting, because pain requires hope, and I had none left. I pushed the door open. No shouting, no swinging, no noise. Just the sound of the lamp clattering to the floor as she froze. He was half-dressed, wide-eyed. She was wrapped in the same bedsheet we bought last Christmas. Her lips trembled, searching for a lie that wouldn't come. "Wait, I can explain." I raised my hand, not with the bat, but with the phone. The message thread glowed in the dim light. "You sent these to me, Anna." Her eyes widened in horror as she realized. Her mistake had delivered her betrayal straight to the man she betrayed. Mark stood silently in the doorway. He didn't need to say a word. The lover, whoever he was, muttered, "I should go." I didn't stop him. He grabbed his shirt, stumbled past us, and vanished into the night like the coward he was. I turned back to her. She was shaking, whispering apologies that dissolved into sobs. But I wasn't angry anymore. I was detached. Watching her cry felt like watching rain hit glass, distant, irrelevant. I walked to the dresser, picked up her phone, and opened her chat list. Dozens of messages. Same tone, same desperation. I airdropped them to mine, quietly, efficiently. Then I placed both phones on the bed and said, "You should delete them before you forget who you're sending to again." She covered her face, shaking. "Please, don't tell anyone. Don't." I smiled, small, hollow. "You think this is about shame?" I turned to the window. The city lights reflected off the glass. My own reflection looked foreign. "This is about correction." She didn't understand. Not yet. The next morning, her photos were gone from her phone, but they appeared elsewhere, sent to her lover's wife, her boss, her mother. Not with anger, with precision. No captions, no accusations. Just truth. I didn't need to raise my voice. I didn't even need to be there when her world began to collapse. 3 days later, she came to the office. Red eyes, hands trembling. "Please," she said, "we can fix this." I looked at her, not with hate, but with nothing at all. Fix what? Her mouth opened, then closed. There was nothing left to repair. I slid an envelope across the table. Divorce papers, signed, final. She started crying again, the same sound I used to mistake for remorse. Now, it was just noise. I stood up, buttoned my coat, and said quietly, "You sent those pictures to the wrong man, Anna, but I was the right one to end it." Then I walked out. The air outside was cool, clean. For the first time in months, I felt something close to peace. Not happiness, not relief, just silence. The kind that only follows after the truth has done its job. Final line. She broke my heart by accident, but I destroyed her life on purpose.